Hello and welcome to Fireside History. In today's episode, we delve into 1778 Manhattan with enthusiasm. Imagine Washington desperate. After losing Nathan Hale, the general is blind. The British occupy Manhattan, and the revolution is in danger. To survive, he must create his spy network and fight from the shadows. Let us begin then with our story today. After the hanging of that young spy in September 76, Washington understood that pure courage was not enough. The British were not just enemies. They were a tide of 30,000 professional soldiers who occupied Manhattan with an iron fist. Imagine the general's frustration as he observed the city lights from a distance, knowing he was blind to the British commander's plans. A lone amateur volunteer had no chance of surviving in that den of wolves. The general decided he needed an organized system instead of individual martyrs. For this task, he sought out Major Benjamin Tallmadge, an officer with an analytical mind and a clear vision of the danger. Tallmadge understood that success depended on geography and personal loyalty. His plan was to create a direct connection between the enemy headquarters in the city and the coast of Setauket. They would not use trained soldiers who could easily stand out in the crowd. Instead, they would recruit ordinary citizens who knew every street and every tavern well. This crisis forced the Continental Army to innovate in the shadows to prevent the total collapse of the revolution. That tragic execution of Hale was not the end, but the catalyst for a highly professional spy network. Imagine a young man, only 24 years old, bearing the weight of a nation. Tallmadge was not a career spy, but an officer with a great personal mission. The execution of his comrade, that fallen martyr, had left him with a deep scar. For this reason, his strategy was not based on martial valor, but on something much older and more solid: childhood loyalty. The young man turned his gaze back to his hometown. There he didn't seek soldiers, but his lifelong friends. He knew that a neighbor would never betray another for enemy coins. To safeguard the system, he designed a structure of absolute compartmentalization. He created the code names Culper Sr. and Culper Jr., identities that would become silent legends. His administrative brilliance raised a wall of absolute silence. Even the commander-in-chief was unaware of the real identity of some operatives. It was an unprecedented leap of faith, according to sources. The officer acted as the sole bridge, transforming ordinary civilians into the invisible engine of intelligence. He was the architect who allowed common men to do extraordinary things without anyone, not even the supreme rebel leader, ever knowing their true secret names. Imagine Abraham Woodhull in the coastal town of Setauket. He assumed the identity of Culper Sr. to be the anchor of the network. But crossing enemy lines was becoming increasingly dangerous for him. He needed a strategic ally within Manhattan. Thus appeared Robert Townsend, who would become Culper Jr. Visualize Townsend's cunning double life. By day, he was a respected merchant and social chronicler. This position allowed him to move with complete freedom among the British elite. Townsend visited taverns where officers relaxed their guard. There he listened for details about supplies and attack plans while taking discreet notes. However, this role came at an enormous psychological cost. Initially, Townsend rejected the offer due to fear of the consequences. He knew that treason was always paid with the gallows. He lived in a constant state of paranoia and concealed his true sympathies even from his own family. These two men did not seek glory. They were ordinary citizens who sacrificed their peace of mind for a greater cause. Their courage did not lie in weapons, but in their ability to lie to the enemy's face every day. Thanks to their ingenuity, essential information flowed from the parlors of Manhattan to the general's desk. Imagine you hold in your hands an apparently empty letter. For a British soldier, it was just a worthless piece of paper. However, That document hid vital secrets thanks to the chemistry of Sir James J. He developed an advanced invisible ink known as sympathetic stain. It was not revealed with heat like traditional tricks. It required applying a specific chemical reagent for the letters to suddenly appear on the paper. Tallmadge reinforced this system with an ingenious 763-word codebook. Each sensitive term was replaced by an exact number to mislead the enemy. For example, code 711 identified Washington, and 727 indicated New York. If the British intercepted the message, they would only see a list of meaningless figures. This mathematical language turned the information into an indecipherable and secure enigma for the intelligence of the time. Transport logistics also required great technical cunning. Spies hid the papers in tiny compartments inside pocket watches. They also used hidden seams in their jackets to overcome constant military searching. These messages traveled many kilometers along dangerous clandestine routes until reaching their final destination. It was a war of ingenuity, where every small technical detail protected the lives of the brave agents of freedom. If you enjoy these stories about American history, don't forget to like the video and subscribe so you don't miss any new episode. Turn on the notification bell to stay updated on every new story. Your support motivates us to keep researching and sharing more fascinating moments from the past. Thank you. Imagine you have the encrypted message, but now you must get it off the island. The sea was the only way, and Brewster was the man for the job. This skilled sailor crossed the New York Strait in his whaling boat, dodging British patrols in the dark. However, he needed to know exactly where he should land without being caught by the vigilant enemy. This is where the ingenious Anna appeared. She designed a system of visual signals, using something as everyday as her laundry hung out to dry. According to chronicles, a black petticoat on the clothesline notified the spies that the sailor had arrived. Then the number of white handkerchiefs indicated which of the 6 hidden coves he was waiting in with his small boat. The journey did not end on the coast. The messages had to cross a dangerous, lawless zone known as the Neutral Territory. There, violent criminal gangs operated, robbing anyone who passed through. The agents risked their lives in a 6-stage relay race until they reached the general's main camp. Every garment hung in the sun and every oar stroke at sea were pieces of an invisible engine. It was a chain of trust where a simple error in the order of the clothes could mean death for all involved in the spy network. Imagine the charged atmosphere of 1780. After years of struggle, the most famous betrayal in history was brewing in the shadows. Robert Townsend, operating as Culper Jr., noticed something unusual on his trade routes. British officers showed a sudden and suspicious interest in the fortress of West Point. This enclave was the strategic key that kept the colonies united. If it fell, the revolution would die. Townsend's reports on troop movements northward corroborated other warnings and confirmed Washington's suspicions. Thanks to this vigilance, the rebel command was on alert when fate intervened. On September the 23rd, 1780, 3 militiamen stopped Major John Andre. He was Benedict Arnold's British contact. Upon searching him, they found the fort's secret plans hidden in his boot. Arnold escaped to an enemy ship upon learning of the capture. Without Townsend's work, Arnold would have surrendered West Point without any real resistance. Visualize Washington's relief when his network helped prevent a total disaster. It wasn't just luck. It was the observation of common citizens that saved the insurgency. That day, the Culper Ring proved to be a more lethal force against the enemy than any battalion on the battlefield. Imagine Newport Harbor in July 1780. After years of fighting alone, the rebels finally see 5,500 French soldiers disembark under the command of Rochambeau. It was the breath of life the revolution needed to keep from dying out. However, the British had no intention of giving them any respite that morning. Admiral Arbuthnot and General Clinton prepared a massive surprise attack. to annihilate the Allied fleet before it could organize. Robert Townsend, our Culper Jr., detected the danger from Manhattan. Thanks to his contacts among merchants, he learned that the English ships were ready to sail. The message flew through the espionage network until it reached Washington's desk. What could the general do with such a worn-out army? Instead of rushing to Rhode Island, Washington decided to play a deception. He ordered a mobilization towards New York, making the enemy believe he planned an assault. The British, fearing to lose their main base, canceled the attack on the French fleet to defend the city. Thanks to this diversionary maneuver, the Franco-American alliance was saved. Without Townsend's warning, France's support would have been destroyed on the coast. This network of citizens changed the fate of the nation forever. When the roar of the cannons died down, the members of the Culper Ring did something amazing. Instead of claiming medals, they returned to their daily lives in absolute silence. Robert Townsend took his great secret to his grave. Not even his neighbors in Manhattan imagined that reserved merchant was Washington's most valuable spy. It took 150 long years for the truth to finally come to light. It was in 1929 when historian Morton Pennypacker discovered the identity of Culper Jr. He achieved this by meticulously comparing Townsend's handwriting with the war's encrypted reports. George Washington confessed that the information from this network was priceless. For the general, his eyes in the shadows were the key to winning a war that seemed lost. Their legacy lives on today in modern intelligence agencies. They established the foundations of professional espionage, discretion, codes, and unwavering loyalty. Imagine these anonymous heroes walking through the streets of a free nation. They sought neither statues nor public recognition. Their victory was to see a country born while the world ignored their real names. In the end, a spy's greatest triumph is that no one ever knows they were one. Imagine for a moment that the fate of a nation depended on common citizens. The Culper Ring taught us that ingenuity and courage can overcome the greatest empires. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the shadows of the past. If you enjoyed these secrets, subscribe and activate the bell right now. Tell us in the comments which historical figure you want to see next. Your support means a lot. Thank you for being there. See you in the next story.